Hello and welcome. You're with this in-depth special where we focus today on an area which has become the bone of contention between India and China. Ladakh, the scenic landscape of the beautiful mountains of Ladakh, today are the theatre of an intense standoff between India and China. While quiet on the surface, Ladakh has been a flashpoint at several times, even in recent history. But why is China becoming more belligerent and trying to challenge the status quo along the line of actual control in the Ladakh area? Our focus today on In Depth is just why Ladakh is so contentious. Take a look at this special report.
In 1834, tranquil and scenic Ladakh was annexed to the Sikh kingdom of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. In 1846, Jammu and Kashmir became a princely state owing allegiance to the British Crown, and Ladakh became a part of J&K. Ladakh became a part of India on 26th of October 1947 when Maharaja Hari Singh of Jammu and Kashmir signed the instrument of accession. But by then, Pakistani raiders from Gilgit had entered Ladakh, and the Indian army went in to drive them out. Soon, Dras, Kargil and Leh were liberated and Ladakh cleared of infiltrators. In 1948, Pakistani raiders once again invaded Ladakh and occupied Kargil and Zanskar, reaching within 30 kilometers of Leh. Reinforcements were sent in by air, and once again, the invaders were driven away. Tensions in Ladakh peaked again in 1962 when China occupied Aksai Chin. It was in 1963 when Zulfikar Ali Bhutto became the foreign minister of Pakistan for the first time, and one of his first actions as FM was to sign the Sino-Pak boundary agreement. By the terms of the agreement, Pakistan ceded 5,180 square kilometers of Indian territory occupied by Pakistan to China. Ever since, China has maintained that the total 43,000 square kilometers of Ladakh that it occupies is actually a part of the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. Between India and China, there lies 3,500 kilometers of line of actual control. There are about 16 spots stretching from Ladakh to Arunachal Pradesh that are disputed. The disputed spots include Demchok, Chumor, Pangong So, and Spangur Gap in Ladakh.
Because the line of actual control is not well demarcated and not accepted by both the sides have got different perception on it. Whenever the patrols go into the line of actual control, there are certain face-offs that take place. There are a number of mechanisms that are in place to actually overcome this kind of face-off. We have 93 agreement, 1996 we had an agreement, 2005 we had the political parameters agreement, and 2013 we had the border defense cooperation agreement. These are all agreed upon basically to reduce the kind of incident that we see along the border. Irrespective of that, sometimes the patrols come for a face-off.
In August 2019, with the abrogation of Article 370, Ladakh became a separate union territory, separate from the rest of Jammu and Kashmir, an excuse that China could now exploit.
The union territory of Ladakh includes Aksai Chin, occupied by China, and Gilgit-Baltistan, occupied by Pakistan. This is the reason this union territory is nearly the size of the state of Andhra Pradesh. China has protested this map. It says it violates its sovereignty and existing border, peace and tranquility agreements. India has said this is not the case. The map and the division of the union territories does not have any implications on India's external boundaries, and India is not making any new territorial claims.
Now remember, the de facto border between India and China in the state of Jammu and Kashmir and now in the Union Territory of Ladakh is the line of actual control. This was actually the informal ceasefire line after the 62 war, which was later in 1993 accepted as the LAC in a bilateral agreement. But the claims as to what exactly constitutes the line of actual control for both India and China are very different. And this is what has led to face-offs time and again. Let's try and find out and understand where exactly the genesis of the present face-off lie.
On this side of the Pangong is the Indian deployment. This is finger 1, finger 2, finger 3. We have a post there. There's also a base, an Indian Army base. And from the last Indian Army base, this line is dotted. It's dotted because there is no road going from the base till finger 4. The Indian Army actually patrols it on foot. So you've got a road, a proper road coming up till finger 3, and then you've got the Indian Army having to patrol. The Chinese, on the other hand, this is their base. So they've got one military base at Sirijap 1, one military base at Sirijap 2, then they have a base further up. This is finger 8. Now, why this area is contentious is because ordinarily the Indian Army patrols up till finger 8. Now, either they can walk along this path or they can take the boats. You see some boats in the Pangong Lake, so they can patrol using the boats, but our patrol goes up till finger 8. However, what the Chinese did in 1999, when the Indian Army had evacuated forces from here because of the Kargil war, they built a road. At that time it was a Kacha road going up till finger 4. What they've done recently over the past few weeks is that they've been able to make it a hardtop, a metallic road, which makes it easy for them to bring more troops, more equipment in, and even take it out. So this is finger 7, finger 6, finger 5, and then finger 4. So the Chinese are currently sitting till finger 4. India claims the line of actual control runs through finger 8. So this purple line that you see on the map is the line that India believes is the line of actual control. This other purple line is the line that China believes is the line of actual control. So this area in the middle is the disputed area, which is what the confrontation is currently all about, because we claim that the line runs up till here, the Chinese claim the line runs up till here, and as a reality they're currently sitting up till finger 4, which disallows Indian patrols from going further. So that's broadly the lay of the land.
That's why the line of actual control perhaps is so disputable. But what are the reasons behind China's latest aggression? Joining me now is perhaps the country's foremost analyst on Ladakh, someone who's tracked it for years. Phunchok Stopdan, former Indian diplomat, strategic affairs expert, joins me. Appreciate your joining me, Phunchok. Give us a sense, Mr. Stopdan, why do you think the Chinese have gone as far as they have at this time into the Galwan Valley? What is it? Explain this to our viewers. Have they crossed a certain Lakshman Rekha this time?
Yeah, I wrote about this sometime back, maybe initially 3 or 4 weeks ago in the Indian Express. The Chinese intention, possible Chinese intention would be, initially we thought it's just a border flare-up, violation of LAC, some kind of, clash there and something like that. But ultimately, the 15th June night incident exposed their ulterior motive. Mm-hmm. Immediately, the Western Theatre Command said that entire Galwan Valley belongs to China, a southern part of China, and therefore the real intention they came out. It was not about LAC violation or LAC phase-off. It was about the claiming the entire Galwan Valley, which give access to Shayok Valley, and then that's the strategic gain. It's a very, very serious issue, extremely serious issue. But I would say that over the years, we've been losing this territory because our local people have not been allowed to go there from our side. Well, the Chinese on the Tibetan side, the nomads keep coming there for pasture land, for nomadic herds. But we've been curtailed. Now, finger point 8, I used to go there from Manmerak on the foot. During the winter, the lake is frozen. All our yaks, sheep, herd, everything moves on the ice, on the frozen lake, and then go to finger 8. No, this has stopped long time ago. Nobody allows us to go there. As a result, you lose pasture land, you lose area, and then we say, no, we lost patrolling rights there.
Can I also understand though, Mr. Stopdown, Professor Stopdown, what explains though the recent adventurism? Is it at one level, as you seem to suggest in a print interview that you did with India Today, that it could be linked to also China exploiting the fact that you had the dismemberment of Jammu and Kashmir and China now looking at Ladakh very, very differently post-August 2019, Ladakh becoming a union territory.
Yeah, precisely. The August 5 decision of our country to fragment Jammu and Kashmir was a domestic measure. I think domestic political administrative measure to bifurcate Jammu and Kashmir. But the response from China is strategic one. Now, what do you make out of it? We are only talking about internal rearrangement, the border rearrangement or the administrative setup and things like that. But the Chinese see Ladakh as a strategic entity, a strategic component which fits into their Belt and Road, which fits into their lots of other things. That's why I find that even the Western military theater, command theater, enjoys special strategic direction from Beijing. It is an autonomous organization altogether. It doesn't depend on Foreign Ministry of China to say something. In fact, you will see the statement yesterday after the 15th June incident. 16th, the PLA first issues a statement that Galwan is ours. Then on the 17th, the Foreign Ministry of China endorses what PLA says. So therefore, let's be very clear. There are strategic focused, activities, attention being given to this area.
But why Galwan in particular? What is it about Galwan that makes it so attractive for the Chinese in your view?
Galwan is a choke point. Once, it's just about 7.5 kilometers length of the valley. It's a small valley. It's a fertile valley, very cold during the winter, but summer it's very hot. People from Bihar can stay there, no problem. Even from Tamil Nadu can go there and spend 6-7 months there. But it's Galwan Valley per se is not important. The next is, the Galwan Valley enters into the Shayok Valley, which is vertical, south-north. Galwan Valley come from east and west. So there is a T point, T junction there. Now that T junction, once the Chinese occupy, then your access to Karakoram Pass, your access to Dapsang Plateau, your access to Daulatbeg Ulde, all these things get cut off. And the Chinese get access to Siachen Glacier. Not so easy, but they would be south of the Karakoram Hills. The entire CPEC and Belt and Road projects are there. Right now they have two corridors, one going from the Kashgar side, the other is south of Kashgar in the Madar Valley. They all go towards Gilgit-Baltistan, joins the CPEC and then goes to Pakistan. So invested a lot of money there, $62 billion they're planning to spend. They have huge stakes. So whatever you do in Ladakh, they think that it is going to disrupt their projects.
Right.
Now the road that they're building from south to north in the Shayok Valley up to Daulatbeg Ulde, we call it a strategic road. Now the Chinese say, what do you mean by strategic road?
Right.
Now if we say economic road or a development road, then the picture changes. But the Chinese narrative is about, they say, economic corridor.
So they are, you believe therefore, you believe that this is all part of a larger Chinese strategy to occupy these areas, use it for their, possibly for the OROP project. The fact is, for the One Road project and therefore the OBOT project, and therefore somewhere this could have the Chinese perhaps moving in to areas which remain a threat to us. Peter Stopdown, Phuntsog Stopdown, appreciate your joining us here at the moment and giving us your perspective and all your experience of what could be happening on the ground. Let's take a break. When we return, we'll tell you the story of the Battle of Rezang La. Stay tuned as we go back now in history and tell you what happened between India and China. You're watching this in-depth special that's focusing on Ladakh, the locus of the conflict between India and China at the moment. Now, the Galwan River Valley situated in the Ladakh region is considered a point of great strategic importance. The river is believed to be named after Ghulam Rasool Galwan, an explorer from Leh. India's construction activities, including that of a bridge across the Shiok River, will provide a connect between Leh and Daulat Beg Oldie. It is this which has irked the Chinese. Since 1956, China has advanced its border claim line steadily westward more than thrice. However, post-1962, there has been no military face-off in the region. India Today spoke to Muhammad Amin Galwan, the great-grandson of Muhammad Rasool Galwan. The Galwan Valley named after him.
China has been falsely claiming that the Galwan River Valley belongs to China. Here on India Today, we'll expose China's lies. How? With me is Muhammad Amin Galwan. आपका नाम मोहम्मद आमीन गलवान है और जो गलवान घाटी है जहां पर विवाद चल रहा है उसका और आपका क्या रिश्ता है?
गलवान रसूल जो ना मेरे दादाजी है वो 1892-93 में वो गलवान घाटी वहाँ पहुँच गया था। तो अंग्रेज़ों के साथ उन्होंने टेक किया और अंग्रेज़ों ने एक्सप्लोर करते हुए उनका रास्ता बिगड़ गया। तो उन्होंने वहाँ से गलवान नाला जो अभी बता रहा है वहाँ से जगह निकाल के काफिले को सही सलामत दूसरे जगह पर पहुँच गया। तो अंग्रेज़ों ने सरफना यंग आसमान और मिस्टर लिटिल डिल वगैरह ने उस जगह का नाम गलवान नाला रखा।
When we talk about the ancient trade route to Kashgar, this was the route that was used because that route that went from Saserla to Sasolma, that used to be covered in snow. A new route was discovered by his grandfather Galwan, Rasool Galwan. Rasool Galwan was a part of Sir Young Husband expedition. तो ये जो expedition निकला था वो उसका हिस्सा थे, लेकिन उस समय तो बहुत young रहे होंगे।
रसूल गलवान बहुत छोटा था उस वक्त, उसकी उम्र 12 साल की थी। छोटे उम्र में उन्होंने सरफरान यंग हस्बैंड और डेमोर के साथ उन्होंने अक्षय चीन और वगैरह में उन्होंने ट्रैक किया एज ए गाइड, एज ए पोनी मैन।
इसका कोई प्रूफ है उनके नाम के अलावा?
कुछ भी प्रूफ नहीं उनके पास। हमारे पास प्रूफ है कि हमारे दादाजी वहाँ पे गया था एक नहीं 10 दफा गया था और अंग्रेजों ने वो जगह का नाम जो ना गलवान रसूल के नाम पर गलवान नाला रखा है।
Now, in the 1962 Sino-Indian War, the Chinese had the advantage over India across two fronts. The Northeastern Frontier Agency, or NEFA, that is Arunachal Pradesh now, and also in the western sector in Ladakh. But it was also in Ladakh at the famous Battle of Rezangla that an outnumbered Indian army tasted victory and gave it better than it got. Let's take a look from the India Today archives, a portion of our show, Guns and Glory, the untold story of the Battle of Rezangla.
In the western sector, the situation in Ladakh's Aksai Chin was infinitely worse. Although disputed, it was already almost entirely under Chinese control. The Indian army suffered huge casualties as the Chinese mounted a string of attacks throughout the western sector. But no battle in this most inhospitable of war zones has ever matched the Indian defense of the strategic ridge at Rezangla. The 13th Kamau Regiment's Charlie Company had been tasked with defending the approach to a valley that held a strategic airstrip. At an altitude of 16,000 feet, in cold and snow, with the wind howling through the heights, Major Shaitan Singh and his men fought back a massive assault by Chinese forces.
यही एक ऐसा पोस्ट था लद्दाख जो हिंदुस्तान ने मार नहीं खाई।
The Indian soldiers were doomed from the start, without artillery support and facing barrage after barrage of heavy Chinese guns. Major Shaitan's unit battled fiercely, doing everything it possibly could to hold on to their ground.
कोई ऐसा राउंड नहीं था, नदी खाए तब, अब जिससे मेरी गोली से आदमी वैसे चली गई होगी। मैंने तो ऐसे आदमी आ रहे हैं ना, यूं, तो ऐसे फायर किए हैं LMG से।
In these freezing temperatures, the young officer fought the battle of his life. Seriously wounded and bleeding, he continued to fight and raised the morale of his battered unit. But nothing could stop the advancing Chinese, who brought the brute force of a full artillery unit against the floundering positions held by Major Shaitan's soldiers.
हमारे जवान के किसी के पीठ में गोली नहीं लगी, एकदम आगे से गोली लगी हुई, जिसके भी लगी हुई है, और ये मिसाल है 13 कुमाऊं का जवान के कोई पीठ में गोली नहीं लगी.
Till his last breath, Major Shaitan Singh remained in battle position, hand on the trigger of his weapon. Raisingla was overthrown, but not without a massive expense to the far more powerful Chinese. Estimates say that as many as 500 to 1,000 Chinese troops were felled by the brave Charlie Company of the 13th Kamau Regiment. 114 of the 123 Indian soldiers perished in the onslaught. The Chinese acknowledged they had suffered their greatest casualties at Raisingla. When Major Shaitan Singh was posthumously awarded the Paramveer Chakra, his citation read, "For every man lost to us, the enemy lost 4 or 5.
That's it on this India Today special. We've looked at Ladakh and why it's so critical. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.